October 23rd, 2006. This is Diehard Gamer Radio, episode 16.
You are listening to Diehard Gamer Radio, the source for off-mainstream video game news and topics. Now your hosts, Murdock, Brian, and John.
Well, welcome back to Diehard Gamer Radio. Sorry we haven't been around for a while.
Now with 100% more microphone fellatio.
Yes.
Heads up.
Yeah. That is not a high-tech audio effect. It is Steve actually mouthing his mic. He's doing the... Was that Hall or was that Oates that did that?
That was Jessica Simpson.
It must have been Hall because Oates was too short for the mic. He had to lift his head up.
So we're going to go right into our news bits here. So the first news bit is Final Fantasy XII pirated 30 days before U.S. release, which doesn't really mean anything because we're recording this October 30th, and, well...
It's out.
Yeah, it's out as of tomorrow.
But man, it was news 30 days ago, buddy.
Well, you know.
Yeah, well,
Square... Does anybody really care anyway?
Well, Square put the kibosh on that real quick, but it's just kind of interesting to see that someone actually was able to
turn off the internet or what?
Yeah. I don't know.
L7, man. L7.
But how can anyone actually get that? Get that, the ISO for that so quickly? For the American version.
It's called, there's opportunity looking for people at the shipping place.
Mm-hmm. For such a huge release, it has to be at manufacturing and distribution a long time before it hits the stores.
Not only that,
and they probably sent out there
every step of the way.
I believe in the industry, the technical term for this is fell off the back of a truck.
Or ship in this case.
Our next news bit, Licksang.com is out of business due to multiple Sony lawsuits.
Yeah, they got their asses licked.
So what happened was that Sony basically, what was it, they did 2 lawsuits against them?
It was more than 2.
In every country in the European Union.
Yeah.
Although there's also this whole weird thing about that Licksang is saying that, you know, the cost of defending themselves and the payments put them out of business.
Except they didn't participate in the cart battles.
Yeah, they didn't show up lawyers. They didn't show up to any.
They haven't paid Sony a dime.
Yeah. I'm getting the impression they said, time to take the money and run.
They fired their public correspondent. They even fired their public correspondent that deals with this stuff.
Well, I don't get this. Okay, so they got sued under some really BS thing in England and lost the lawsuit, okay, because they didn't show up at all. But, okay, how does this affect the rest of their worldwide distribution network? I mean, they're like, oh, we're eventually going to get sued or something. It's like, but the thing that they sued them under in England was just total BS. And
that's not most of the world hated it.
Actually, it wasn't trademark stuff. The thing that they sued them over was under an obscure, not really obscure, but like a tangential thing where they said that because the product that was being imported did not meet the English safety standards.
It was the standards with their adapters. But what's funny is every system they shipped over there came with a set of those adapters.
Well, yeah. But, I mean, it was totally because Licksang didn't even show up.
Yeah.
They show up with a half-assed,
they screwed themselves.
Legal defense or something.
They were claiming we don't have enough money to fight them on all these fronts. Well, all you had to do was show up to one frickin' courtroom.
Well, you had Sony basically telling the judge what to decide.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, they decided in Sony's favor. I can't
imagine
what
they going to do. The other side didn't show up.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like all we can do is listen to who's there.
I can't imagine why that happened. Honorable gentleman from Sony has something to say. And robble.
Also, as I understand this, though, a lot of the importing stuff is also based on trademark things. That they go after people who do not have they basically revoke their license to use the trademark to advertise it, so that they're left with being able to sell, you know, a shiny black device that plays games.
Well, yeah, but they're like it's on the interwebs. So you know, they're advertising from Hong Kong, where really, you know, up until 7 years ago, England had dominion.
Black market of the world.
You know, it's like, they're advertising on the inner tubes, and some judge says, you can't use the inner tubes, and everybody goes, pink, fuck you.
And on top of that, because of all the Lick Sang stuff, Play Asia, as of today, turns around and goes, yeah, about the Sony stuff? Yeah, we're not going to be doing that either.
I reiterate my protest that they would actually have to have PS3s before they could actually sell them to anyone.
Well, true.
Doesn't stop anybody on eBay.
Well, this isn't eBay.
Yeah.
You can sell a box on eBay.
Well, you can sell a
Or a
lot
picture of a box.
Here's a JPEG of a box.
Yes. You spent $5,000 for this 2K JPEG.
Well,
Actual wrapping
too.
from the box.
And did you see the requirements they had for being able to sell your pre-orders on eBay? They had things like you had to have a feedback score of 50 or higher to be able to do it. I mean, all sorts of crazy restrictions.
How do they track that?
Well, it's
bunch of
feedback
manual
people
people
leave you.
searching for PS3, I guess.
Yeah.
That's
But
why they can't afford to pay any more of the EB employees. They're paying for the guys who are surfing around in eBay trying to find, pre-ordered PS3s. Sorry, we can't pay you anymore.
yeah. So next topic, the virtual console for the Wii as well as the Wii itself is region locked. The first party games are rumored to be region free. This may change between now and say 2-3 weeks from now.
We'll see when it happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just stupidity.
Yeah. So you can
Region locked until somebody goes, oh, look at this.
And then they install
And then
Mod
it stops.
Switch. Yeah.
We still don't have a modded 360.
Not yet.
The Wii is just an advanced GameCube. I really don't think it's going to be that hard to mod. In fact, I'm thinking I could probably pop my GameCube open and get a good start.
You're sitting there with a little bypass wire going, these needs do it. No, these needs do it. No.
Get a fluke meter and figure it out. So look, I can play games.
So our next topic, PS3 controller officially called 6-axis.
It just looks dirty.
Yes.
Oh, you didn't even
Sounds
spell
like
that
a
right.
Bon Jovi song.
You took your caps lock off while you typed that in. You got it wrong, man.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, Sony's like so pissed.
Oh, yeah.
They're all about the cats, man. They're all about the
What are they
cats.
going to do, revoke my license to sell stuff in the Europe?
No, they're going to sue you in Britain.
Oh.
Then they're going to take away your individual right to use the PlayStation brand name.
Yeah.
Oh, darn.
It's the 6-axis is just one X away from being porn.
So, yeah, the name sucks. That's the bottom line.
But it's symmetrical, Murdock. It's symmetrical. It's cool because it's symmetrical.
Yeah.
It's got X's in it. All it is is umlauts, and it'd be Mel.
You're saying that like the leprechaun.
I'm a little leprechaun.
So, next news bit, Clover Studio has dissolved, and it's not really dissolved. They just kind of got bunched in with
They were made out of
Capcom.
sodium and they got wet.
And also, 2 of the 3 lead designers had already left before Capcom dissolved the studio.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So.
a little late, but somebody had to save face.
So, well, I'm actually going to kind of miss Clover because I like half their games.
Well, you can miss them, and then they'll be back in a different name.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not gone.
Otherwise known as Capcom.
Yeah.
You know.
So, next,
Isn't Capcom dead yet?
no.
Strangely
They've had
not.
bankruptcy. They've had bankruptcy issues, but
No, in fact, they're in the works for a Street Fighter 2 movie.
yeah, starring Chun-Li as the main character.
Yeah, because that's going to make
And I'm
some money.
and that is very relevant to my interests.
They're gonna ruin somebody else's career.
Yeah, but
before-
it's not going to be X-rated enough for you.
They're out to
that's
ruin
true.
some other
You're gonna
great
have to find
star.
some woman with genetically enhanced thighs.
I think they're out to ruin some other great star's
They're
career
seeking for
before he
that
dies. Poor Raul Julia, rest in peace.
That was a bad way to go.
Oh man, what a downturn! Guy was such a great actor.
And Capcom isn't having any problems with money, seeing as how Dead Rising is doing very well. But
Even though you can't find it in
As-
Japan because it's behind the counter,
Yeah.
behind the door.
Well, somehow I think that even if they sold a copy to every 360 owner in Japan, it still wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
well, they'd only have to sell 3 copies. So moving on, next news bit, Nintendo announces Nintendo World 2006. Used to be known as Space World, but basically it's a Nintendo-only video game convention. Which, yeah, we haven't seen one in like several years.
Well, now that E3's gone, all the companies have to do their own thing.
Actually, E3 is coming back, but it's being
now that
renamed.
E3 has been stripped down to essentially not
Yeah.
being there anymore.
Might as well not be.
That's coming up.
Now that E3 has moved to PAX.
I've got an idea. Let's see. We'll make E3 into a place where only people that are in paper publications can get in, and then we'll write about it 3 months later.
Yeah.
Yay!
Oh, by the way,
This will be out in January's issue.
it's like your grandmother trying to buy you a video game. Oh, it's that
really
super,
funny.
super Xbox thing? What is you talking about?
So now you're going to have to sign a loyalty agreement before you can see the games?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's just funny, like reading,
Invitation.
2 months later, reading in paper publications about E3. How great E3, and you're like going,
It's almost
what?
so irrelevant by now.
Yeah, it's like, what?
We've moved on. Thank you.
At least
not 2
the
months
English
ago.
publications, I've noticed that the English publications have recognized that there's no way they're ever going to break new news on anything. So they're all about, okay, here's older stuff that we're looking at more in depth. You know.
Yeah. So,
Meanwhile, EGM is still.
EGM.
Oh my God, we have those Halo 3 shots that everybody saw on the internet 2 months ago. Woo!
So now you can hold it in your hand.
So,
And caress the hair.
yeah. So, for those of you who want to travel to Japan to see Nintendo World 2006,
And
a la
pants.
Space World. Yeah. You can go to
Gaijin Con.
yeah, you can go to Nagoya on November 3rd, Osaka on November 12th, and Tokyo on November 25th.
Oh, it's a road show.
Yes.
Does it have a sideshow?
Possibly.
Ooh, what kind of
Nintendo
freaks does
Roadshow.
Nintendo break out?
Well, they got this guy who's got
They're
a
called programmers. It's R&D1, like coming out of the cave.
Oh,
it's
his
like,
friends are
sunlight. Go back, go back. So, next news bit, GameStop PS3 and Wii pre-order sold out. Gee, what a surprise. And they show up on eBay within the hour, and then eBay decides, hey, we're not going to have a repeat of what happened with the Xbox 360, so here's a bunch of, like, really, really restrictive rules regarding these types of sales.
Then there's that whole bizarre thing, they pull it, and then like 7 days later they go back up because they can only pre-order within 30 days of the actual release.
Yeah. The rules are insane, people.
Only on a Tuesday with half a moon full and a cloudy sky.
You must take the ring to Mount Doom, and then you get your pre-order here.
You get to mark at any price you want. And
I really don't understand why the stores can't just, put a $1,500 price tag on their PS3s.
So you might as well save themselves the
because they're
trouble.
not in Japan.
Just not go through the
You know that's going to happen in Japan
Yeah,
because
I
the
know.
PS3 has been dropped from 100,000 to 80,000 units available, so it's going to be more expensive than it was to start with.
Although Kotaku had that bit where the guy who had his PS3 order on open pricing, and they announced the open pricing, and it was actually less than it cost here.
Yeah.
It was weird.
They renounced it. Interesting.
I renounce you
Well,
in the name of Sony.
No, it's I renounce you all.
In the name of Ken.
to exercise Kudaragi from Sony.
What was
The only thing that can save them now.
But there was a screenshot over on, it was either Joystick or Kotaku that showed the PlayStation 2 backward compatibility for the PlayStation 3, and it was showing like all the nifty screenshots regarding the backwards compatibility, so at least we kind of know that's in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Anybody's going to do it right. Sony will.
They've got the best track record so far.
Yeah.
Well, Nintendo's got a good handheld track record, but that's also because their systems didn't really change that much as they were doing all the backwards compatibility.
Well, they'll just keep micronizing their older systems. And
Yeah.
All right,
Well,
now
no,
the
they-
PS3 has a PS2 and a PS1 in it.
Well, Nintendo doesn't have to now. They're finally getting off their old anti-progressive step pattern and actually putting a live arcade version within the Wii. So now they're going to charge you to play those games again instead of making an adapter you buy once.
Which is completely pointless for most of us since we already own half the games that are coming out on these virtual
How many
consoles.
times would you like to buy your Nintendo product again?
once for a console, I'd be
Well, let's see. I could play the Mario on the Wii, or I could play the Mario on the N60. Wait a minute. Why would I want to buy Mario more than once?
Or you could play it on the DS.
Yeah. There was when the Nintendo DS first came out and was real short on stock, some guy put up a eBay auction for a Nintendo DS and had a picture of a Nintendo 64 on it.
The This is the DS from Africa. Yeah, yes. See, it's a little different.
Yeah.
I'm going to believe Nintendo's progressive when they get rid of film or friend codes, though.
Yeah.
I don't think it's
We're not going to get into that. Next news bit, track listings galore. Track listings announced for both Guitar Hero 2 and Elite Beat Agents, which is the American version of Osu Tatakai Orendan, the cheerleader music game.
Trogdor, the Burninator.
Yes, Trogdor, the Burninator. It shows up in,
Burninating the peasants.
You know the funny thing about that is, I don't remember much of the guitar track for that. I don't really think that was one. I think it was just the words and you're like, what?
So maybe that means they did a complete mix and version of the song just for Guitar Hero.
Well, there was an MP3 that you got with if you bought the Homestar Runner DVDs or whatever. You actually got something. I seem to remember something along those lines.
Did it have the techno song too?
Well, that was required to have a guitar in it.
The system is down. The system is down. The system is down.
But there's
we played the demo for Guitar Hero 2, and it's pretty nifty.
It's very cool. It just makes the game even better being able to play together and, doing rhythm and standard, regular guitar and bass.
Pretty cool.
And then Kotaku came out with had a picture of a guitar for Guitar Hero 2. It was what's that V-shaped guitar? That
Flying V.
The Flying V.
The Flying V. And then they had another one with more than one. The one with more than 5 frets was 10.
What?
It was
what is all this stuff?
They had a special guitar over on.
I think
this is not official stuff.
Yeah,
are you talking about the dual neck?
Yeah.
No, that was a mod that some guy made.
Yeah, he actually two guitars apart and glued them together.
Not only that, but he made it so he could step on a pedal and
Flying V. I've seen the Explorer.
There's one of the third-party ones is in a Flying V.
Yeah, there's a
the little tiny micro one that's all M-sized.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No. This Flying V, the one I saw at Circuit City, was actually standard size.
Huh.
That one you're talking about was the very first one that came out. That was a different company altogether. Yeah, it was made for almost children's size, but the new Flying V that came out was a third party.
But there's some pretty impressive tracks for Guitar Hero 2.
You can get the Explorer type and act like you're Randy Rhoads.
That some of us here at Diehard Gamer Radio have been talking about.
Still talking.
Yeah, still talking about
Freebird. And there's the news of the $60 wireless one, and there's the wonky-looking Xbox 360 one that's going to come out at some unspecified time in the future.
Right, that's the Explorer body, I think.
But Steve, as you are the resident music expert, any particular one of these tracks that you have real issues with?
That I have issues with? Well, there's lots of ones I have issues with. Basically, the ones I can afford. Song that
you mean the Allman Brothers Band?
Well, Allman Brothers is fine, but the one that I've seen, Stone Temple Pilots, there's way better guitar songs from Stone Temple Pilots than Trippin' on a Hole in a Paper Heart. Way better Jane's Addiction than Stop.
Megadeth.
That song is probably the most accurate one that they could have done with this, because that song is about 6 minutes long. It's about 2 minutes of lyrics and 5 minutes of guitar solos. I'm they actually picked it right. Institutionalized by Suicidal Tendencies is pretty good. What else they got here? I don't get Freebird being one of the hardest songs. I just keep saying that.
Lizzie.
Sweet Child of Mine is a pretty good guitar song. Cherry Pie I find very amusing.
Yeah. Although it will be entertaining now to be sitting on the couch and shouting at people to play Freebird. Play Freebird!
Cherry Pie and War Pigs.
One of the whatchamacallits is one of the demos on the demo disc was Strutter by Kiss. And while it's a fun song to play, it's not by far the best, most representative guitar song from Kiss. So it's kind of weird how they made these decisions on what
I don't
they
think
wanted
they
to do.
made a lot of these decisions. I'm starting to wonder how many of these bands gave them that song and said, here's the song we'd like you to do, and this is all we're going to give you.
Like Primus, how many people have actually heard the song John the Fisherman? They totally should have done Tommy the Cat.
Except the special thing with Primus is they were actually able to give them the studio recordings for that. So it's not a cover. So maybe that's the one they had the rights to, or they were able to, work that out with their label or something.
I don't know, but Primus is Primus Tommy the Cat is one that it's got this incredible bass part, and it's actually got a good guitar part too. So I don't know.
Who knows?
Yeah.
And I couldn't care less about Rage Against the Machine because the guy just pixelites most of the songs. So.
And Elite Beat Agents, which is like I said, the American version of Osu Tatakai Oindan, except instead of Japanese school cheerleaders, male cheerleaders, I might add, you end up with these Men in Black type characters that I guess are part of a secret government organization that help you do things like
You're the inspiration.
Yeah.
So it's not really a port. It's an entirely new game.
It is an entirely new game, new
concept.
graphics, but same gameplay.
It's going to be crazy if they backport this one to Japan then.
Yeah. And the song list sucks. I just like to add that right now.
Well, come on. How can you not want to have ABC, YMCA, Material Girl, and Skater Boy all in the same soundtrack?
Well, congratulations. The DS is a mainstream system, so you got your mainstream song.
Yeah, but
Yeah, but the Jackson 5?
Yeah.
Hey, look at YMCA and September are on there.
Is there
Village People and Earth, Wind and Fire?
Is there a good song on here? Let me see.
Let's Dance isn't bad. Of course, I always like that song. That's about it. Maybe Jumpin' Jack Flash.
The only one I can see as actually being, anywhere near good is Chicago, but that's just because Chicago good. That song is not very good.
You're the inspiration.
Yeah,
No.
I mean, there's a million other Chicago songs they could have made that are so much better than that.
Yeah, but we'll have links to the track list for both games.
I'm sure the Sum 41 one sounds like all the other Sum 41 songs.
Some
of those sound good. So they must all sort of sound good.
So our last news bit is that there's a new Xbox Live update that's coming up tomorrow, I believe, and it gives you 1080p plus 84 other nifty features for your Xbox. So for those of you who have high-definition TVs, tomorrow's your lucky day.
That'd not be me.
Yeah.
So does that mean that the high-definition era starts tomorrow then?
Wait, I thought
Sure. Now you'll be able to read the writing in Dead Rising.
Now.
Well, if Sony keeps saying it says when they start it does, because it doesn't start until we get 1080p, and
Oh, okay.
we're getting 1080p on the 360.
Okay.
So I've always wondered about 1080p, the progressive scan. Is there a conservative scan too? Is there like the liberal Democrat scan that spends a lot of money on social programs?
Sticks with the old CRTs.
Would that be both of them?
Yeah.
Well, no, there's in England.
Oh.
In England, the liberal Democrats, they're known for spending a lot of money.
Yeah, but then all you're going to have is high definition soccer, and who cares?
High definition soccer and bad teeth. That's all you're going to get.
Football.
And reruns of Benny Hill.
Yeah.
That's what we have, Itagaki for.
So our next news is that we're going to be doing a website redesign and a server move. So watch out for that.
You're going to make it all prettier?
It might just fall
Possibly. So our next section here is our game topics and discussion. And our first topic for discussion is we're going to talk about games that are perfect for Halloween. I say the perfect Halloween game, real scary game.
Space Channel 5.
Daikatana. Yeah, that's a real scary game.
The robot. Her skirt, she's got no crotch. That's pretty scary.
Yeah, that is
might
pretty
be
scary.
the most disappointing date ever.
It is. It's like, well, I'll write it. Hey!
I can't shoot. There's nothing there.
Well, that's what the face is for.
How do I shoot though? What the hell?
That's what the face. So, Brian, do you have any games perfect for Halloween?
I'd probably have to go with the old TG-16 Slaughterhouse.
Yeah, that's a very good pick. Actually, that's kind of a surprise that you would pick that, but that's cool.
Oh, I grew up on those. I love those. Those are like the Just some of the best games.
Brian came
Hard
out of
as
the
hell,
room
but-
with a TurboGrafx 16 controller in his hand. Ow.
John,
Everybody said, ah!
well, just because it was a little bloody.
So, John, do you have any perfect game for Halloween?
I don't know about perfect, but the one I'm looking forward for this Halloween here is Fears releasing on the 360. Just played the demo for that one. It really manages the atmosphere.
Aptly named.
And, Steve, do you have one?
Space Channel 5.
That's not a horror game.
It is too.
He liked the uhulu.
Ooh la la.
Yeah. For me, scary game perfect for Halloween.
So the robots is pretty scary.
Yeah, that is a scary...
You dig through your games and you go, oh, what
They made that game work.
Yeah.
Scary game.
No, I'm probably going to end up having to go with Castlevania.
I knew it.
What? That's
On
just
the
because it's got,
NES.
like, skeletons
It's got
in it?
on the NES, or there is a horror-based shoot-'em-up game. It's not really horror-based, but it's kind of bloody, and you're inside a human, and it's not Life Force. It's a obscure shooter by the name of Abadox, which is on the NES.
I remember that
which
game.
is
I played it.
yeah, it's pretty hard.
I
too.
rented it from, back in the day when everybody rented Nintendo cartridges
Yeah.
in like the back corner of their the VHS rental stores.
Yeah.
They had it back there.
So kind of like Clerks when we've got Nintendo
and VHS. Yeah. Although I must point out in that movie you never see a Nintendo game ever.
Yeah. It's because they're in the back corner. I can't see the back corner.
I have to revise my thing. I believe that the scariest game that you could play on Halloween for a variety of reasons is Phantasmagoria.
Why? Because it's just a really scary game, or it's a real shitty game.
Well, it's so scary. It's so crappy. It's scary.
Oh, you mean like Seventh Guest?
Yes.
Or 11th Hour.
Or Plumbers Don't Wear Ties?
Seventh Guest was way better than Phantasmagoria.
Was it?
Oh, it so was. Phantasmagoria is bottom of the barrel, man. I mean, really, you paid like $40 for a movie.
On 7 Tusks.
On still.
Oh, it's like a 3DO game.
Yeah.
It's like Sewer Shark.
Snow Job.
Did anybody ever play, speaking of Sewer Shark and the likes, did anybody ever play those on the VHS? The VHS versions of those?
What?
Originally, that's where those came from. That was a guy who actually did the VHS versions of those. He tried to make a video game system based on VHS tapes.
Didn't he learn from the Vectrex
laser
failure?
things? Or
Well, he had some sort of system whereby he was trying to make it so that you like played along with basically this book or whatever, and you use the controller that they sent you, that they gave you with the thing, in order it would know where to fast forward to tell you the next scene or something like that.
So like
And
if you choose one, press button 1, and it would fast forward so far.
I don't think he ever
would
got
have worked with DVD, but not with
well,
VHS.
yeah, exactly. And so he never got it working, but he licensed those titles to the 3DO and all those, so that they
Explains
could do
the
Night Trap
stock
and
footage
Suicide
look.
and all those ones.
Yeah.
Did you know we've got rumors now that they're going to do a sequel to Night Trap?
Oh.
Trapped again.
Well, Dana Plato's probably a zombie now, so it shouldn't...
She was a zombie then. What are you talking about?
So,
It's like Play-Doh.
any other like really scary or Halloween style themed games that you guys like that get you into the mood of like? WWF.
Now you've ruined it. Go to number 2.
Yeah.
The moment is over.
Yeah, I'm spent. So
Next.
okay.
The Wii is limp.
So next we're
Wii is limp. Number 2.
next we're going to talk about who we think the big winners and losers are going to be for the holiday season.
My pocketbook.
Yeah. Well, that's
going to be a loser.
Yeah, that's so
Not a winner.
so let's tell you that. So let's do the big one here. System. Who do we think is going to be
The big loser?
I still
Yeah.
maintain that the big winner is going to be the PS2 for this holiday season. It's got solid titles coming out. It's way cheaper than everybody else.
It's got a buttload of old titles, too.
Yeah.
Probably
And
more
you're
so
gonna be able
than
to
any
find it.
system.
Yeah.
How much is the PlayStation 2 now? It's $249 still?
PlayStation 2?
PlayStation
No,
2.
it's $150.
No, it's like
It's like $129, I think. Yeah, because I just saw an ad.
$100 used at EB.
Kotaku just had an ad that they're releasing the new silver PS2 this holiday season for $129.
Yeah.
$129?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Been a while since you had to buy one, huh?
Yeah, totally. You're not getting a PS2 for over $200 unless you're buying like the box on PA again.
So PlayStation 2, you think is going to be the big winner?
I still believe that. It's by number of sales. I bet the PlayStation 2 is going to come out ahead.
Well, Wii's going to be a close second only because it's the only one out there that's going to have consoles available at the right
360
price.
is going to be fine.
Well, yeah, but nobody wants to pay $400.
Except they've got the core system for $300. I mean, that 250 to 300
Nobody wants to pay $400.
That 250 to 300 is not a very big price gap. I mean, I was really expecting the Wii to come out at 200, and that's why I'm
I
surprised.
just cannot imagine buying a 360 without the hard drive, though.
Well,
You're going to use it sooner or later. You're going to need it.
you're also a hardcore gamer.
Well, I'm also surprised that they even offered the Xbox 360 without a hard drive. I mean, I still don't get that.
Yeah.
But
It was a strange choice. But I mean, even so, I mean, you're looking there on the shelf. You've got a Wii for $250. You've got a 360 for $300. You're looking at the shelf. There's a Wii for $300. Just sitting there wobbling at you. Is it a walleye?
yes, it sings. It flops back and forth like those singing fishes.
And especially when you put the demo consoles next to one another, I don't know that the Wii's going to be at the hands down winner there.
So the Wii being,
at this point, I'm more tired of the speculation than you are.
so the Wii being like the different consoles, do you think that's going to turn off people from actually wanting to purchase it?
Yes, they'll be totally turned off and leave their dates right where they stand.
That's not what I mean.
You can play with Wii, or I can play with
Women frigid.
I can play with you, or I can play with my nunchuck.
Yeah. But do you think that's really going to bring in a lot of casual gamers for the Wii?
At this point?
I think it's going to be more of the old
We need to
fan base.
find those fucking casual gamers and ask them.
Yeah.
Hey, are you a casual gamer? Get away from me, man! I just had a question.
They're too busy playing Bejeweled.
Yeah.
I did read an interesting article the other day about the fact that there are more women gamers now than male gamers. Well, not in the mainstream,
but
online.
Gamers.
No, just saying online, spending a certain number of hours a week. And most of them are playing something like Bejeweled or...
and also like Second Life, and there's like a 40 female-male ratio because they're all freaking fur fags.
But I gotta say, I've seen a lot of women that like PopCap games. I mean, it's just so easy to play on any PC.
I would like to add
There's also that whole thing with casual gamers too, who are getting into, they also count things like playing Hearts online and the card games and a lot of these more social experiences.
Which kind of makes you wonder what's the motivation, the political marketing motivation to keep including more and more people that were never considered gamers before as gamers. It's like, okay, you play solitaire on Yahoo, you're not a gamer. I mean, you're just not.
You're not spending money on the industry.
It doesn't count. It doesn't really count.
And I would also like to add to Brian's statement that there's more women gamers. I would just like to add that there's more people that say they are women.
No. What it really means is that there's a higher percentage of people who play games who say they're female who actually are.
Yeah, okay. So there's more than one woman on the internet. Okay, yes. Thanks for clearing that up.
There are no women.
There are no women on the internet, on the interbutts.
The intertubes. So we've talked about software such as it was. Hardware.
And we all know the PS3 is going to sell every unit they make, and it's still not going to matter because they can't make enough of them.
Yeah.
Well, it would help if they were making a profit anywhere near what they paid for it.
What's really scary is I wonder what their turnaround rate's going to be. I mean, you look at the 360, it was like close to 30% in that first year. The 360 with all the problems it's going to have, it could be higher than that.
The statistics I saw on the 360 were about 5% defect rate.
I heard there was quite a turnaround for that first month, but I don't know. I didn't have one.
Well, I don't know. I mean, seriously.
5% is pretty high, but it's also within the realm of reason for these things. 30%, 1 out of every 3 they ship to the shelf is broken.
Or will break at some point.
I'm not buying that.
Sony's not exactly got the best track record for building the system at this point.
They'll get out 3 of them. So... One will be broken. That's pretty good. There was only one. I mean, empirically, they only had one broken unit. So, hey.
Yeah, still 33% effect rate.
Scoop that under the rug.
Steal their thunder.
They got it out.
All right.
They managed to make a couple.
So we think the PS2 is going to be the big winner for Christmas, as they will be available.
definitely will for software, I think.
Huge software.
That's really my belief. I think
what do you think, Brian or Steve?
Seriously, at this point, I'm going to wait 2 weeks and try and figure out what's going on. 3 weeks or whatever. Whenever the systems are actually out at this point, I have actually reached the trough of interest where I just couldn't care anymore because it's just mental masturbation.
There's also the whole thing that for all three of these systems, all the next-gen systems, they really only have one good AAA game coming out for the holidays. The Wii has Zelda, the 360 has Gears of War, and PS3 has Resistance Fall of Man. That's not really enough to push any of these systems that hard.
And I'll bet you the PS2 has still got a year worth of life in it, game-wise. There's
Or
still
we're going to be
games
getting
coming
like
out
Gears of
for
War,
it.
or not, God of War 2, and there's going to be AAA titles.
Well,
Final Fantasy 12
Didn't
just
they
released.
say that they're
We're seeing
planning
really
on
good
putting
stuff for
games
the
out
PS2
for
right
the
now.
PS2 until 2010? I mean, that was like, I don't remember what I
construction sim.
actually saw, it'll be like the Jockey 7.
Well, Sony is smart in that sense. They're not like Microsoft where they're forcing everybody to convert to the 360,
One day
also
you've
got
got
the market share.
upcoming titles for the Xbox, and the next day they're all gone.
We didn't post any new titles.
Yeah.
It's like the N64 release titles where there was 45 of them, and then suddenly they all dropped off of the EB's pre-sale.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait a minute, because I got them in the mail. We get them in the mail. I'm like, oh, okay, same as last week, same as last week, same as last.
Hello.
But there's only one page now.
Yeah, I went from 45 games to 2.
There's only one paragraph. 3 titles. I sat there and waited for the Robotech 64 game forever. It stayed on the pre-release title for 6 months after the system came out. And then one day, it just went away. I'm like, damn it!
And especially, you look at the release list for all the next-gen consoles, and they're all porterific. If you have one of the current-gen systems, you can pretty much be playing the same game without buying one.
Pretty much. All right, well, we're going to go right into our game reviews.
Such as they are.
Such as they are. And I'm going to be trying a little experiment here.
It's going to justify his review.
I'm going...
It's been a month.
I'm gonna pimp my review. Yes, that's what I'm going to do.
I'm just going to do a review, and time is running out.
One man on a mission.
In a world where Murdock reviews games.
All right, so we have a bunch of Don LaFontaine ripoffs here. I'm going to do what I would...
Geico can save you money on games.
That would be sweet.
That would be awesome. This game is so easy a caveman can play it.
This little lizard comes to my door and brings me games.
Yeah. I could go to a website and get a price comparison for all the different games.
In a world where insurance gets you games.
So I'm going to do a triple threat review, which I'm going to do 3 reviews, and I'm going to try to spend less than 5 minutes each on every review.
Man, that's forever.
Forever.
Yeah, well...
You need to do a minute and a half max for each one.
Is someone timing me on this?
Well, we can. We very certainly can, but there's no way we're letting you talk.
You wanted
15
it,
minutes
you got it.
All right.
We'll even split the difference here. We'll give you 2 minutes per review.
2 minutes per review, so that's 6 minutes.
Yep.
All right.
We can handle that.
Say go.
I can't stand any of you talking for 15 minutes straight, much less just Murdock.
So why are you still talking, Steve?
Because in between us, there's interruptions. In a world where Murdock talks on and on.
I don't talk that much.
Okay, 2 minutes.
Go. Ready? Go.
All right, first review, Valkyrie Profile 2, done by Squaresoft. Very, very pretty game, and plays a lot like the original Valkyrie Profile 2. Problem with it, as I see, is that a lot of it kind of along the same lines as the last Valkyrie Profile. Music not as great as the first one, but very decent, solid game. Knock-off armor, knock-off body parts off creatures. Really, really hard at the 3rd chapter where you have to do a lot of grinding, so it's kind of a little unbalanced. But overall, really good game. give Valkyrie Profile 2 4 out of 5.
In a world where Murdock gives it 4 out of 5. Next!
Okay.
45 seconds. Go, next one.
All right, next game, Contact by our good friends at Grasshopper Studios and Atlas. This game is a lot like Earthbound, a lot like an RPG. Basically, as you come across creatures and you actually attack them automatically, and you build up stats based on how much damage you take, what type of weapons you use, what types of techniques you use. Very interesting storyline, very good graphics, really just interesting way of just doing the whole console RPG. Very fresh and original game. I would give that a 4 out of 5.
In a world
Okay, 40 seconds remain.
Doesn't follow the rules.
reviews Phantasy Star Universe.
Okay, Phantasy Star Universe is kind of a pseudo-sequel to Phantasy Star Online. Basically, the way the game works is that you have a story mode where you play a set-out story. Once you get past a certain point, you can actually open up extra mode, which will allow you to create your own character and do your own types of missions. Game graphically on the PS2, not as good. Xbox 360 has better graphics. PC is probably the best graphics out of all of them, but it does require a lot of tweaking, and a lot of their server problems have been down if any of you want to play online. Overall, a pretty solid game. I'd end up having to give that a 4 out of 5. If you're going to get a new version, probably get the Xbox 360 version. It's the best out of all three.
2 minutes done.
So American, in a world where Murdock gives everything 4 out of 5.
So how'd I do?
You did it all in 2 minutes. Congratulations.
2 minutes exactly?
That's way better
You're
than...
like 3 seconds off.
I thought you were doing 2 minutes each.
Wow, 2 minutes total.
Oh, really?
Hardcore here.
It's like that ESPN thing where they just they have 30 seconds to talk about each topic. See, we could totally do that. We need to have 30 topics and we have 30 seconds to talk about them. Maybe we could do that. That'd be kind of fun.
Then no one would understand our podcast.
Nobody understands it anyway, dude.
In before B, hairball,
Back in the beginning.
There's a horrible on there. In a world where horribles are on our podcast.
So that was the Triple Threat review. Trying to do 3 reviews in
2 minutes. That was
2
solid.
minutes. That's
Well, you
That's pretty
definitely
hardcore.
did within 15 minutes, but we were glad you only took 2 minutes.
so. I probably won't do that again, but a lot of good games really came out. A lot of
Summarize
came out. So our next review here is by our good friend Brian. And what do you have for us, Brian?
Who's also going to do it in 2 minutes.
Yeah, right.
Bullshit.
Yeah, he's actually going to talk about it in a human manner. So
Come on.
all right. So Brian, what's your review?
So I was doing a review, and he was like, whoa. And I was like, whoa. And he was like, whoa. I'm doing a review on Ultimate Ghosts and Goblins for the PSP. Definitely a fun game. Very pretty game. It definitely uses the PSP to its full ability, I believe.
The game's too hard. Go.
It really is hard. It takes you back to old school. It really is the definition of an old school hard game.
Old school.
Especially if you remember playing it originally on the NES. I mean, it just, it doesn't get any harder either. I mean, I even think it was easier on the NES after playing this version.
I just remember hating it.
I doubt that.
It's doubtable, but it's hard. It's hard to tell. I mean, they've all been that hard that it gets to the point where you can't, devise which is harder, and you can't. There's no way to tell easily.
I remember old school where they stretched 30 minutes of gameplay into an entire summer.
Yeah, it's called
the NES was wonderful. But it is basically a classic remake with a few tweaks here and there. They've given you the ability, instead of just shooting left to right, to actually shoot up and down. You can gain double jump. There's neat little things you can gain that give you a secondary power where you can explode around your body. You can amplify that by increasing your armor, by picking up more and more armor. And that's just little things in the shape of a mail,
So
like
he's
chainmail.
Hermit crab now?
Yeah. It's funny too. I mean, he does pretty much everything he did in the first games. They've added a few extra little things where now he turns into a grasshopper if he's sapped by the magic, or he turns into an old woman that's able to float with her giant dress. It's funny. It's a very funny game.
They did that in the old Ghosts and Goblins too, like on the Super Nintendo, Super Ghouls and Ghosts. If you got hit by the magician, you actually turned into like an old man, and he'd like try to throw his weapons, and they would go like real slow, or
the
turn
chicken,
into a
of course.
duck. Yeah.
Yeah, they've got a chicken on this one. Great game, and it has a lot of replay value. You have the ability to go back to prior levels when you gain these little keys, and it allows you to go back, find new things, go back with new abilities you've got, like the double jump, or when you beat a certain dragon, you're able to get the wings. The wings allow you to hover for a certain amount of time and move while you're hovering. There's a lot of replay in it. It's definitely for the old school gamer, definitely a hardcore game too, not for everybody. And I gotta say, on top of that, it had one of the funniest commercials I think I've ever seen. It was a Japanese commercial released for just for him, and it was kind of his little life that was going on between the games, and him just living in his little Japanese house until he was called upon, and had this low, slow, dismal life, and one day realized he was called upon and started working out and helping old ladies up the hill
and soliciting for prostitution.
We need to get the link for that video on our website.
Commercial.
That was just classic. That was one of the best.
Does his entire armor still fall off the first time he's hit?
No, actually, you can take multiple hits.
Yeah, you take 2 or 3 hits on this, and if you get extra armor, you actually increase how many hits you can take. Plus, you make yourself. The armor actually increases your secondary ability too, like how big your explosion is, or the whirlwind, or whatever second ability you get. It increases the size or destructibility of that.
Plus,
destructiveness.
Plus, it also increases your main weapon. So instead of like your dagger just shooting in like one direction, it'll enhance it. Or enhance some of your other weapons.
Or make it so that it only takks 1 hit to kill something instead of three separate daggers. But overall, a great game, very pretty, very hard, still hasn't changed much, but is just classic homage to the
Don't you mean homage?
Or homage, sorry.
Actually, you mean
thinking of the French.
Homage.
Classic homage to the Capcom and the original Ghosts and Goblins. I don't recommend it for everybody. In fact, I wouldn't recommend it for most people just because it is just more of the same of what you had when you were a kid.
It's definitely for
now you can just turn it off. You don't have to play it. But I'd give it a 4 out of 5 for hardcore gamers and probably a 3 out of 5 for those that want something more challenging, but still are kind of on the edge. It's something you should definitely find somebody that's got it, or go to was it Game Videos or GameTrailers.com and see if you can find motion, video of it in motion.
There really isn't any place that rents handheld stuff, is there?
No. I don't think GameFly does it either.
No, I know GameFly does. They did rent Game Boy Advance games.
Yeah, those are cartridges. Those are a lot more stable, though.
PSP.
PSP game in the mail.
Especially
unless it came in its own hard case.
Yeah, even then. So that is it for our podcast. A little bit faster than normal, but that's a good thing.
Hey, everybody says it's too long.
Everybody being Emily?
Yeah.
Everybody being everybody.
Yeah, everybody.
I've never heard anybody say the podcast is just right or close enough. I've always heard them say,
what is a good time?
The podcast is really long.
What is a good amount of time for a podcast?
Typically podcasts are 15 to 30 minutes.
Yeah, but, the people who criticize the podcast are the people that don't listen to it, so I don't care what they think. So, anyway.
That'd be everybody.
Yeah, whatever.
Well, we don't care what any of them think.
Everybody's a critic.
Yeah. So that is it for...
Everybody isn't a critic because they don't listen to it, so they can't make fun of it.
So anyway, that is it for Diehard Gamer Radio. Like we mentioned, we will be moving to a different server and redesigning our website.
Hey, Chris, was that it?
Are we actually moving to a different... I thought we were just moving the back-end storage to a different...
Well, we are.
Yeah,
we're moving the files, but it sounds cooler if you're actually, moving,
No, it doesn't.
A server.
It just sounds like you're trying to market on the inner butts.
Yes. So there'll be a slight site redesign. Anything else from you kids?
Yeah, that'd be cool if we got comments.
God bless.
Yes. We're working on that. Wow. Even though most of the comments we'll be probably getting from Keegan, but
there's most of the comments are you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think most of the comments will probably be from Natalie, who wants us to go and look at her website and RussianBridesForYou.com.
I like that site.
Diehard Gamer.
I love that site so much I'm running out of space in my closet.
Yeah. Diehard Gamer does not endorse this website.
Diehard Gamer does not endorse Steve.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm going to do the ending bit here. You've been listening to Diehard Gamer Radio. As always, you can listen to us at diehardgamerradio.com, or you can listen to our podcast through our RSS feed, or listen to us at allpodcast.com or podcastalley.com. So once again, you have been listening to...
I'd like to point out that every single podcast you cut out my little funny noise at the end of it, and I would like to request you'd stop fucking doing that.
No.
My funny noise is awesome.
Request denied.
Steve does not forgive.
Yeah.
So, once again, you've been listening to four guys who know a lot about games and silly sound effects, but not much else.